Hi, children. This is your first lesson in civics, the Indian Constitution. In this chapter, we are going to begin with football, a game many of you have probably heard of or even played. As the name suggests, this is a small game that involves the player's feet. According to the rules of the football, if the ball touches the arm of any player, then this is considered a foul. So, if players start holding the football in their hands and passing it around, then they are not playing football anymore. Similarly, other games such as hockey, cricket also have rules according to which they are played. Each of these rules helps define the game and helps us distinguish one game from another. As these are fundamental to the game, we can also call them the constitutive rules of the game. These rules are called as constitutive rules. In the large societies in which different communities of people live together, these rules are formulated through consensus. And in modern countries, this consensus is usually available in written form. A written document in which we find such rules is called a constitution. If a country frames a rule for the people, that is called constitution. Okay, Indian constitution is the main thing in our political history. The Indian Constitution was drafted by the Constituent Assembly, which was formed in December 1946. The Constituent Assembly consisted of 300 members in 1946. It was headed by Dr. Rajendra Prasad. The Constituent Assembly completed the work in 2 years, 11 months, and 18 days. The Constitution of India was adopted on 26th November 1949 and came into force on 26th January 1950. Why does a country need a constitution? Today, most countries in the world have a constitution. While all democratic countries are likely to have a constitution, it is not necessary that all countries that have a constitution are democratic. The constitution serves several purposes. First, it lays out certain ideals that form the basis of the kind of country that we as citizens aspire to live in. It forms the basis for the country where how the people wish to live in the country. Put another way, a constitution tells us that what the fundamental nature of our society. It says the fundamental nature of our society. A country is usually made up of different communities of people who share their certain beliefs but may not necessarily agree on all issues. The constitution helps serve as a set of rules and principles that all persons in a country can agree upon as the basis of the way in which they want the country to be governed. You can understand, I'm reading the page only, children. You can understand, it is in simple English only. The constitution helps us serve a set of rules. This you can do, this you should not do, this is against the government. If you do this, you will be punished. If you do this, you will be rewarded. Like this, you have certain ideals. That is because of the constitution. In your book, I am reading a story of our neighboring country, Nepal. Nepal is still now it is a monarchy. The previous constitution of Nepal, which had been adopted in 1990, reflected the fact that the final authority rested with the king. A people's movement in Nepal fought for several decades to establish democracy, and in 2006, they finally succeeded in putting an end to the powers of the king. Monarchy means one man rule. Whatever the one man is thinking, the king is thinking, that will only happen in the country. So, it may be difficult for the general people. The people had to write a new constitution to establish Nepal as a democracy. The reason that they did not want to continue with the previous constitution is because it did not reflect the ideals of the country that they want Nepal to be, that they have fought for. They were against the country because whatever they thought in their mind, the king did against for the king. Okay. The second important purpose of the constitution is to define the nature of country's political system. For example, Nepal's earlier constitution stated that the country was to be ruled by a king, his council of ministers, in countries that have adopted a democratic form of government. The constitution plays a crucial role in laying out certain important guidelines that govern decision making within the society. Okay. The main features of Indian constitution are federalism, parliamentary form of government, separation of powers, fundamental rights, an independent judiciary, and secularism. 6 fundamental rights have been granted to the citizens of India. A secular state is that which does not officially promote any particular religion as the state religion. Our state is Hindu state, our state is Christian state, our state is Muslim state. Nothing like that. No religion the government will support. That is called secular state. Society is bound to certain set of rules which makes it what it is and differentiates it from other kind of society. Okay, society is bound to a certain set of rules. These rules in large societies in which different communities of people live together. India is a society where different people are living in our country. Okay, these rules in large societies in which the different communities of people live together are formulated through consensus. In modern country, this consensus is usually available in written form. As I said earlier, written form of consensus is called constitution. Constitution lays certain ideals that form the basis of the kind of country that we as citizens aspire to live in. As I said earlier, how we aspire to live in a country that is framed out of constitution only. In constitution guarantees the right to equality. In one of the fundamental right to all persons says that no citizen can be discriminated against on grounds of religion, race, caste, gender, and place of birth. Okay, religion is you belong to Hindu religion or any religion. Race, you belong to black or white, that is race. Caste, what caste you belong to. What gender, female or male, all are equal in front of the law. Place of birth, if you are born in Himalayas also, you are treated equal. If you are born in Kerala also, you are treated equal. If you are born in Tamil Nadu also, you are treated equal. Okay, place of birth does not decide your discrimination. The constitution ensures that a dominant group does not use its power against other less powerful people or groups. The constitution also contains rules that ensure that minorities are not excluded from anything that is normally available to the majority. A certain community if you take, they will be present in large amount. If you take Hindus, Hindus will be more compared to Christians and Muslims in India. But it does not mean that Hindus will avail certain privileges. Muslims will not avail certain privileges. No, they are equal in front of the law. Key features are listed here. One among it is federalism. Federalism is the existence of more than one level of government in the country. In India, we have governments at the state level, at the central. Panchayat Raj is the third tier of government. You have read about this in your class 6 itself. We looked at the functioning of the state government in your class 7 books, class 7 book. And this year we will read more about the central government. Okay, the vast number of communities in India meant that a system of government needed to be devised that did not involve only persons sitting in the capital city of New Delhi. Okay, the next is parliamentary form of government. The different tiers of government that you just read about consist of representatives who are elected by the people. Okay, they are MLAs and you elect MLAs and MLAs become ministers and ministers become the chief minister also. So this is parliamentary form of government. Okay. Separation of powers. According to the constitution, there are 3 organs of government. These are the legislature, the executive and the judiciary. The legislatures refer to our elected representatives, our MLAs, all are called as legislature. The executive is a smaller group of people who are responsible for implementing laws and running the government. The judiciary, of which you will read more in unit 3 of this book, refers to the system of courts in this country. In order to prevent the misuse of power by any one branch of government, the Constitution says that each of these organs should exercise different powers. Through this, each organ acts as a check on the other organs of government, and this ensures the balance of power between all three. This is called separation of power. Fundamental rights. In India, we have certain fundamental rights for us. Okay? The feature of fundamental right is the concerns of the Indian Constitution. These rights protect citizens against the arbitrary and absolute exercise of power by the state. The Constitution thus guarantees the rights of individuals against the state as well as against other individuals. The fundamental right in the Indian Constitution include right to equality, right to freedom, right against exploitation, right to freedom of religion, culture and educational rights, right to constitutional remedies. I'll say in short whether you belong to which community, they don't feel, okay? They don't interfere in your community based worship or anything. The government, the fundamental right of the Indian Constitution include the right to equality. Irrespective of the religion, caste, sex means your gender, okay? And you belong to which place, that irrespective of all this, you are considered to be equal. That is called right to equality. Right to freedom. You have certain freedom. You can talk something, you can express your views, you can reside in a part of a place, you can practice whatever profession you wish, what work you want to work, you can work. For you children, if you take right to freedom is in which school you want to perform your education, you can decide your educational rights. Okay, that right is in your hands, vested in the hands of you and your parents. This is all simple rights to freedom. Rights against exploitation. The Constitution prohibits human trafficking, forced labor, and employment of children under 14 years of age. This is exploitation, making the government fool, like keeping 14-year child below 14-year children should not be taken for labor. But in some cases, in hotels and all, if they are working means the government will come and keep seal for the hotel that child labor is practiced here, so you will not be able to continue the hotel, like that. Right against exploitation. Right to freedom and religion. Whatever religion you want, you can follow. You can change even the religion from one religion to another. That right to freedom of religion is given to all Indian citizens. Cultural and educational rights. As I said, the Constitution states that all minorities, religious and linguistic, minorities means very less number of people in a group. Religious means whatever religious practice, puja or a mask or a mass gathering in a church, anything you can take it as a religious gathering, and you can practice linguistic, whatever languages you can talk in the country. Right to constitutional remedies. This allows citizens to move the court if they believe that any of their fundamental rights have been violated by the state. In this 5 rights, right to equality, right to freedom, right against exploitation, right to freedom of religion, right cultural and educational rights, right to constitutional remedies is the final thing which will make you understand all these rights, and which if you feel that these rights are violated for you, you can apply in a court. That is in this law, right to constitutional remedies. Through this law, you can apply in the court that your fundamental rights are denied for you. Fifth key concept of the Constitution is secularism. A secular state is one in which the state does not officially promote any one religion as a state religion. We will read more about this in the following chapters. Okay, secularism means the state will not allow the people to follow, or the state will not say that our state is a Hindu state, our state is a Christian state, our state is a Muslim state. This will not be uttered by the state. That is called, it is secular. Okay. Secularism, a system under which the state does not officially promote any one religion as the state religion. Okay, thank you, children. By this, our lesson is over. We'll see the exercises. I'll send you the classworks.